Hello friend, welcome back to Toyota Maintenance YouTube channel. You are looking with me on the 2011 Toyota Highlander. This one is a four-wheel drive and I had it here just 2 months ago for the engine oil change. The owner needed tire for some reason, maybe puncture or something, so he went to the tire company and they told him something like, your rear brakes are done, you better change them immediately, your rotors are junk, they are too thin to be saved, and here is the bill, and apparently it was a huge number. So he called me from there and he said, hey, when I have been with my Highlander at your shop for that oil change, I remember you look on the brakes, right? You said the fronts were what? So I look up in the papers, the fronts were 4mm and one of the brake pads in the back, in the rear, was like 2 to 3mm. So I only put in the comments, oh, just get ready, this will come in the future, the rear job, right? It will come in future, the fronts are okay. You are totally safe to drive. So he's back in 2 months, only a couple thousand miles, and apparently there is catastrophic failure on the rear brakes. So let's go look at it together if it's true. The only way to confirm all of that is to completely remove this, right? So that's a 14mm, right? It's a 2 bolts for that caliper. And as you know, I have ready that hanger, I don't care. That caliper is super light, right? And I could theoretically hang it on that brake line because it really weighs not much. I will just stick with the habit to make the habit working perfectly, right? And I will hang it anyway. So boom. And it's in the air, right? Now the brake line cannot be damaged. Let's go look together in very detail on those brake pads. Hopefully you can see correctly from there. I need some space for myself too, right? So, what is this one? That's a 4mm. It will be between 4 and 3, right? Yeah, 3 is wiggling there. So, that's definitely way thicker, right? Then it needs to be replaced. And here, this is basically 2, right? Of course, everybody, each shop which works on the brakes, when it's down to 2, they can say, yeah, we recommend you to replace the brake pads to prevent damaging that rotor. I will agree with that. However, so far we don't have any catastrophic situation which needs to be dealt with immediately. Know that this entire holder, that's always 17s, right? These are always tight a lot. So I told you many times, right? Use your big tools because there you will need a lot of power to undo those. It's a half drive ratchet, long ratchet, right? And normally you should just be able to pull it off, but here is the rust, right, which prevents me from taking it off. So I can bang it with the hammer from back or use this screw which will pop it off for me. Before I use these 2 screws, I always put a little bit of anti-seize to lubricate those tips that thread. Right. I forgot what it is. And what is this? M6, M8? I should probably make a video about that. So this is how you pop it off, right? I need a 12mm here, that's the socket, but what's the thread of it? By the way, right, while I'm doing this, what do you think? Looking at these rotors, to me they look in perfect shape, right? No grinding, nothing. What do you say? Is it all scam? Or or these people were correct and they did measure the minimum thickness, they did all of it, and they are very, very right that it needs to be done. Now you heard it, it popped off, so I back out these 2 screws, right? Bolts. I will measure for you that thread. In the case you want to buy for yourself this tool, you do your own Toyotas. Definitely, if ever deal with brakes, you need to have these ready. So let me remove the rotor. Right. Now you see how it's done. The rotor is off. And we will need to find out if the minimum thickness is printed somewhere here, or I will have another source to get the number. Sometimes it's written right here in this area. Can you see it? It's either here or there. Sometimes I saw it here, but it's not, right? So you are, oh yeah. Look at it. Maximum diameter, that's for inner. Minimum thickness, it's a 8.5 millimeters. Here is beautiful printout. I bet you these are originals. Minimum thickness 8.5 millimeters. So we will be checking that, right? If they were right, and they cannot be saved. And yes, I should have a different caliper, because there is always tiny lip right here. I can show you there is almost none, but to have that measurement absolutely perfect, I should have a different caliper. So I apologize for this. I didn't buy it yet. It's another 60 bucks, right? But look at this. Actually, I'm avoiding that lip. In this area, there is slight protrusion. So if you look with me, that goes over the lip, right? So now everybody can see if these people are scammers or they are right. Look at this. This is 9.86 millimeters, the thickness. 8.5 is the minimum, right? If I turn this very slightly, which I will do, I will resurface this. I will show you the end results, how much we will use. This is absolutely perfect part, right? There's nothing wrong with this. Well, let's not judge that tire place yet, because we still have to do the other side. Now we are looking on the driver's side, right? I left it there on purpose before removing. So the inner one, it's again thicker. Definitely the 3 millimeter gauge has a space there still, right? So it's between 3 to 4. And this one, 2, easily fits there. Look, even if I squeeze it on, it still wiggles there, so it's slightly over 2 millimeters. So definitely no emergency, but to be correct, you, any technician, obviously seeing the number 2, is allowed to sell this or recommend this. That should be done pretty soon or the same day. Let's go look on that rotor too. And it's here on the bench, right? Nicely organized. You can see all of it, right? Tools. So let's see what's up with this one. Caliper, zero it, right? And let's avoid that lip, right? And what is this one? 10.18 millimeters, right? 10.18. So again, that minimum thickness, not sure if you can read it, but it's right here, and it says right here min th 8.5 millimeters. So we are totally legit, right, to resurface this. And telling the owner that these are throwaway and junk, that was not cool at all. So I will go ahead and perform this rear brake service for them, right? I will go shop for the brake pads, throw these on my brake plate immediately and make them absolute shiny and perfect. I might measure them for you that you can see how much I took off, right? And that I can prove you they were savable, so we can measure them when they are turned down. Now this whole situation makes me mad, right? Because people like that, this behavior of the businesses creates bad name for all of us, right? The general public, when you look on the mechanic, it's like, oh, another scumbag, right? Lying scumbag, just they are taking advantage of us. And I discussed this with somebody, right, pretty good at the law, and they said it's obviously and unfortunately almost nothing to do, because if they upsell you for that, right, you have to sue them for some damages, right? First you have to have a damages for you able to say, hey, that was complete scam and now we want to deal with it and stop them from doing it. And what are your damages? When they said, oh, you need a new rotors, right? Well, they said $200 for them, maybe, right? So that will be all. Otherwise, the 2 millimeters, definitely everybody is allowed, and that's nothing wrong with it, telling to the customer, yes, I recommend to you replace those rear brakes before the pad will be too thin and start damaging the rotors. So there's no question about it. But these are perfect. I could see it, right? If you work on Toyotas, first of all, I can see it's original, right? We know that these rear were way slower than the front, and basically they went on the trip to the South California. They drove like 1,600 miles, and these brake pads are in exactly the same shape like 2 months ago when I put it in the comments for them, right, that they need to think about this service. So that was really, that didn't change, and they could still keep driving with it. So the fact somebody told them yesterday, no, don't even leave, that needs to be done today, absolute sad situation. Let me measure for you this and give you answer for these bolts now. And I just ran that die on it, and it's a M8 metric 8 times 1.25 thread if you want to buy these bolts for the brake work. So I turned down the first rotor, which is the driver's side, right? Beautifully finished. It was not in bad shape, so I took just a little bit, but how much? Look at it, 9.65, and the minimum allowed thickness it's 8.5. So this rotor definitely has a lot of life in it, there's no question about it. And I believe it's original Toyota, right? So we preserve the OEM part. Look how beautiful it looks back in its place. I love it. And here comes our passenger side rotor after being nicely resurfaced again, right? So what we will have here, if I'm grabbing it correctly, 9.66 millimeters or 9.70 millimeters. That's perfect. So the owner came and took the Highlander, and I was able actually first time to ask him about the details. So basically the tire company not only offered him the rear brakes, and it was emergency right now, they said, oh, let us check your front brakes. Oh, they said, oh, they are needed too. So the estimate was $1,100 for these repairs. Because of that, I went back to the front brakes and checked them again. The thinnest pads were 3 millimeter and the thickest pads were 4 millimeter. So that in my book says he can still keep driving it, right, safely. It's around 3, that's where it starts, that when we are honest, we can offer the brake jobs to the people, right? The little gauge, which I was using 3 millimeters in a red color, so that's basically what we are doing. We can say, hey, your brakes can be replaced today, and it's not upselling or scamming someone. So you guys tell me, what do you think about this story? You saw what I did on the rear, right? Tell me in the comments. Share your stories, please. This is the reason why I'm making these videos. So thank you for watching, and be subscribed. I have way more coming your way soon. See you later, my friend.